what would that be for? I'm curious about this. Would it be dereliction of duty, or I'm unsure about what the basis for that action would be.
Well, as I understand it, the legal position is, as I explained it, that when a police force refers a matter to the IPCC, as the Northumberland Police quite correctly did, that the IPCC have three options. One is to conduct an investigation themselves, one is to conduct a managed investigation, and one is to conduct a supervised investigation. What they have said is that they've done some sort of investigation, which appears to be looking at video evidence, but nothing else, not talking to any of the supporters or witnesses, and then say they're happy to hand it over to the Northumberland Police for them to investigate, and they will play no further role. Now, this appears to be outside the legal options that are available to them. So if it is, then there may be an issue there about possible legal action on that. But I think much more seriously than the legal process is the point that by saying that they've exonerated the Northumberland Police Force, and even going so far as to praise the courage of police officers, what they have effectively done is to render any investigation now by the Professional Standards Department of Northumberland Police completely tainted. How can Northumberland Police now properly do a proper investigation into this when an IPCC Commissioner has said that he's exonerated the police? It clearly cannot happen. So the only way it can be rescued in those terms now is for a fresh investigation with a fresh IPC Commissioner from a different part of the country, and if that Commissioner decides that the police would do the investigation, whether it's a supervised one or a managed one, then it should be done by a police force from another part of the country.
There is always the possibility that the footage from the CCTV cameras and the handheld cameras of the police will eventually be in the public domain. It would therefore be pretty stupid for the IPCC to say that footage convinces them that no action should be taken. They would be leaving themselves wide open to all kinds of actions then.
Well, we'll have to see, won't we? All I can say, as I said quite clearly, I haven't seen the video and I wasn't there. So all I can do is comment on what we've seen. What we have is a significant number of supporters who produce written statements which are independently produced, which have certain common themes running through them, and which cast a very different picture to that painted by the police. And obviously there are a number of elements to this, is whether the situation was exacerbated or triggered by the things that some of the supporters say that it was triggered by. But even if that is an appropriate response by the police in general terms, there are specific issues about whether the injuries sustained by the three supporters with baton injuries to the head was an appropriate action against those supporters at that particular instant in time. So there's a lot of questions to answer. I don't pretend, I'm not coming here this morning to tell you that I have got a clear evidence-based view of absolutely everything that happened. What I'm trying to demonstrate to you is that what is absolutely essential, that there's a thorough and full investigation by an external people that includes interviewing and looking at all of the witness statements and the totality of the video evidence from beginning to end, unedited from every angle, to see exactly what caused the serious incident that occurred.
Like you, I haven't seen the video and I wasn't there. I have spoken to a number of supporters, and what they have told me they genuinely represent. Is there a possibility that what those people saw was a snapshot of a bigger picture which is only truly apparent when you see all the video? Is it possible that those people who witnessed part of what was happening don't get the big picture?
All things are possible, aren't they? I mean, and this is why you need a proper, thorough, independent investigation by people who are appropriately trained to investigate incidents of that kind. Yes, I mean, obviously, people at any instant see what they see and report that, but certainly there's a consistent theme among many of these statements that it's extremely difficult to reconcile with the police. Now, what I would say is that the first people to come out with a statement were not supporters, but the police, who very rapidly reached the conclusion that, as I read out earlier, that 40 Sunderland fans attacked police officers and dogs. We know that the dogs were unmuzzled. We know that the police officers had batons. Now, the police position is that 40 Sunderland fans launched an unprovoked attack on police officers with batons and unmuzzled police dogs. That could have happened. It is not consistent with what many of the supporters say happened. So that is why we need to see a proper and thorough investigation, and I do not believe that the IPCC have conducted that or can conduct it in such a short time scale and without reviewing the witness statements and evidence from the people involved.
Do you have a view of why the IPCC have done what they've done or followed this route?
No, I don't. You'll have to ask them that. I was astonished when I saw their statement. I think it is unprofessional, and that's as far as I'll go. It's not for me to speculate on why they've done it.
What I'm sort of getting at is, do you think it's indicative of how football supporters are treated?
I think,
as a group?
I think in general there is a tendency sometimes to categorise football supporters as in a single way, which is entirely inappropriate. One of the points to make is that the people on this train were not a homogeneous group. They were not a single group of supporters who all knew each other and had gone together. They were supporters on a train, and I've no doubt that, like any other group of football supporters, they cover a wide range of people, and people from a wide range of backgrounds. As I said, one of those statements is from a 51-year-old man with a professional position. Another one is from somebody who's spent 17 years in the TA as a paramedic. Obviously, at the end of the day, anybody conducting an investigation has to decide what weight to put on the evidence that anybody gives and puts before them. And that's what an investigation is about. So I wouldn't go any further than that. I'm not going to say I know exactly what happened, and I'm not even going to say that I believe every word that every supporter has said. What I am saying is that this is a major, serious incident which we're not used to in this country, and it requires a very thorough and full investigation that everybody can have confidence in, and that's not the situation at the moment.
Do you understand that the two supporters who you said are taking legal advice are looking to bring their own action, perhaps civil suit?
That's a possibility.
You don't know at this stage what they're planning to do?
Representations have been made on their behalf, and we will have to await and see what the response to those representations from both the Chief Constable of Northumbria Police and the IPCC is. And no doubt, depending on the nature of that response, their lawyers will advise them accordingly.
It's a very simple question, Mr. Clarke. I think we'd better establish it. You do know the identities of the three people who were injured and hospitalised?
Well, obviously, yeah. I don't actually know the full identity of one of them as it happens, because he's, as I said, other things, but obviously the supporters who are being legally represented are not being done so anonymously. But I'm not in a position to tell you that.
Wouldn't it strengthen your position if these three people had come forward? As I understand it, none of them has actually made a complaint.
Oh yes, they have. Who did you understand that from?
The IPCC?
Well, I'm sorry, I've got the letter, so I can assure you that they have.